Hello and welcome back to the Basis series. Today we are covering another load of engines from the Thomas magazines. So let's not waste any more time and let's get into it. Victor, not to be confused with the narrow gauge engine, is an old standard gauge 440 tank engine. He has side tanks, a rear bunker, a dip at the front of his running board, a dome, square cab windows and a P-shaped cab. It is also possible he might have outside cylinders at one point, though we can't be certain. So then let's look at the bases, and like all engines in this video, we don't have to worry about a specific build date. The first engine is the Drummond D51, built from 1880 to 1884. The smoke box is the wrong shape, the cab windows are round, the cab is T-shaped, and it doesn't have a front dip. The bunker also has a little hang that Victor doesn't have. The framing is also not right. Aside from those things, they are pretty perfect fits. The second is the Highland Railway P class, built in 1891 and 1893. It is very close. It has the correct smoke box shape and square cab windows. However, it has the wrong cab shape. It lacks the dip in the running board and lacks framing. And the third is the Metropolitan Railway A and B class, built between 1864 to 1870 and 1879 to 1885 respectively. Compared to the previous two, these don't match up well. The dome is ahead of the tanks rather than just at the edge of them. The cylinders are rested where the running boards would be. The boiler is fairly low for Victor. The cab shape is wrong and it doesn't have a bunker. The framing is also off, but the cab windows are correct and the front buffer beam is lower than the rear. Overall, I'd say the Highland Railway P class is the best match, but the A and B class have their potential with slightly lower running boards. 13 is an interesting case. In his first illustration, he looks like he's a well tank, while in his second, he has a saddle tank, though the well tank look could just be a misinterpretation on my part, as he seems to have a really large boiler band that wouldn't really make sense. It is probably meant to be the edge of the saddle tank. So then let's get to the details. He's a small saddle tank locomotive with an open back, round cab windows, a rear coal bunker, his outside cylinder, and has a square smoke box. We don't know his real configuration, so this opens up a lot of possibilities. Now his proportions are a bit all over the place, so we'll have to have a slightly loose definition of accuracy. So let's see what he could be. First off is the GWR's Trojan, built in 1897. The smoke box and cab is the right shape, it has round cab windows and its outside cylinder, though the dome is not big enough. It has sandboxes and toolboxes and doesn't have a rear bunker. Next is the 1392 class of locomotive. It does have an open cab and correct cab shape, and it has outside cylinders, but its dome is too far up. It has a safety valve, the smoke box isn't squared, it again has sandboxes and toolboxes. Next is Avonside's Woolmer, built in 1910. It does have a rear bunker, outside cylinders, a squared bottom smoke box, and round cab windows. However, the cab is the wrong shape and enclosed. The dome is too far up and it has sandboxes again. Black Hawthorne and Co. Works is Wellington, built in 1873. It has a squared bottom smoke box and round cab windows, while its dome is on the firebox or boiler or whichever. The coal bunkers are towards the saddle tank, and it again has sandboxes. The cab is also the wrong shape. An honourable mention is this 042 locomotive built in 1858. It didn't make the list as it originally was an 040 and only got that large overhang at the back to support a crane. So while that overhang is reminiscent of 13, it serves a completely different purpose. There are also just many details on that engine that differ from 13. I'm going to say warmer is the closest, but it really is difficult to find anything even remotely close to 13 because he has such a peculiar design. Alright, Sidney is complicated because he has two different designs. Considering it is already difficult enough to find engines that match him, we will take into consideration the details from both his designs. In the story The Scenic Railway, Sidney has a squared bottom smoke box, a saddle tank that has room for his firebox/boiler to be exposed. He has running board dips at both ends, has round cab windows, and something that is often missed is that Sidney in The Scenic Railway appears to be a 240. No illustration that shows his wheels ever shows his side rods connecting to his front wheels. However, it is possible this is an error, but because of this we will take 240 and 060 engines into consideration. I will also consider the cab shape flexible. While it's not impossible for engines to have that shape, it is incredibly unlikely, so we won't consider it. So the differences for the story on the pier is now an inside cylinder 060, he has lost the gap between his cab and his saddle tank, has toolboxes, and has a more realistic cab shape. He's also lost his dips in his running board. What we are probably going to end up with is a hybrid between the two designs, so you'll have to bear with. Also for convenience, I'll call the Scenic Railway just Scenic, and On the Pier just Pier from now on. So then, let's begin. Making a comeback from the last video is Jurassic. It has round cab windows, but that's about as far as it goes. He has no running board dips, which is accurate to Pier, but not scenic. The front of his smoke box is the wrong shape. There is no gap between the cab and saddle tank, which again is accurate to Pier, but he has side plates as well, which Sidney does not have. He is also outside cylinder, which is only accurate to scenic. And next is Peckett 2161. He has an accurate smoke box, the cab windows are accurate to both stories. The saddle tank also connects to the cab, which is accurate to Pier, though the dome isn't accurate to either version. It is an outside cylinder locomotive, which is only accurate to scenic. It has a rear bunker, which isn't accurate to either version. However, we never see the very back of Sidney in Pier, so it is possible he has a rear bunker in that story, but he definitely doesn't in Scenic. The buffer beam shape is also wrong. And those were the only two 060 saddle tanks I could find in narrow gauge. I couldn't find any narrow gauge 240 saddle tanks. Doesn't mean they don't exist or there aren't more, I just couldn't find any. Out of the two, I'd say the Peckett fits more closely, especially for On the Pier. But Jurassic fits Sidney's squatness in the Scenic Railway much more. But I encourage you to do your own research with Sidney and tell me what you find. Remember, 060s or 240s. And that is it. I'll be honest, I very nearly forgot to include Sidney. It was a fun challenge trying to find bases for these obscure characters, as they are so wild and out there with their designs, despite how tame Sidney and Victor's designs look. So tell me what you think in the comments. Do you agree with my choices, or do you have your own ideas? Hello, so just quickly stopping by, enjoy this little editing mistake I made while I say this. Next month will be the 10-year anniversary of my channel on the 20th of June. So, I'm opening up the Q&A again. You can ask any questions you want, just make sure they're not personal And if there's any questions I'm uncomfortable answering, I won't answer them. So yeah, leave questions below on this video only. So I'll get a Q&A video out, hopefully on the 20th of June. Hopefully it's not like last year and it comes out on November. On screen now should be a playlist for the rest of my basis series, and beside that, the playlist for my 3 Rude Engines series. So thank you all for watching, and goodbye.